Hey guys, so today we're working on adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. Now there was a video on adding and subtracting using counters, showing those models, but for this video we're just looking at numbers, some rules, some tips and tricks and whatnot on how you can add and subtract positive and negative numbers successfully. All right, so let's start with adding here. Okay, so adding, here's our rule. Now this is very different than multiplying and dividing. Remember, multiplying and dividing, you can use the faces, you can use the triangle, whichever one you like, but this is different than multiplying and dividing, okay? So keep those two separate in your mind. For adding, a positive plus a positive is going to give you a positive, and then a negative plus a negative is going to give you a negative. Okay, so for either of these, both of these, all you're going to do is add like normal and then keep the sign. This is if the sign is the same. If you have two positives or if you have two negatives, just add like normal and keep the sign. Okay, so let's do this example here. If we have a positive 4 plus a positive 2, okay, so these are both positives, positive, positive. Our answer is going to be just going to add, it's going to stay positive, positive 6. If we have a negative 4 and a negative 2, okay, same sign, you're just going to add them, 6, and it's going to keep the sign, keep the negative, okay? Let's look at another one. If we have two positives, both of these are positive, 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 you're just going to add like normal. 5 plus 9 is 14, and that's going to stay positive. If you have a negative plus a negative, you're just going to add like normal, 14, and then you're going to keep the sign. It's going to stay negative. Okay? So a positive plus a positive is a positive. A negative plus a negative is a negative. You're just going to add like normal. All right, now what happens if it's a different sign? This one's the one that gets a little bit tricky. What happens if it's a different sign? If it's a different sign, I want you to take the difference, okay? Think of that vocabulary word difference. It's the opposite of a sum. You're going to subtract. What is the difference between just this number 8 and this 6? I want 6. I want you to ignore that negative right here. Okay, between 8 and 6, I want you to find the difference because we have different signs here. Let me go ahead and label this. This is a negative and this is a positive. So if they are different signs, this is what we do. Find the difference. The difference between 8 and 6 is 2. Now, what are you going to do to figure out what this 2 sign is? You're going to look again at just this 8, just the 6. Which one is bigger? Our negative is bigger. So we are going to take that number sign. So because our 8 is bigger, we are going to make our answer a negative 2. So whichever one is bigger, you're going to take that integer sign. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so we know that this is different signs. This is a negative. This is a positive. Okay, if we have different signs and we're adding, you're just going to find the difference. So ignore that negative. What is the difference between 4 and 5? 1. And then between 4 and 5, which one is bigger? 5 is bigger. So we are going to keep it positive because our 5 is positive. All right, what about subtraction here? What do we do about subtraction? For subtraction, any subtraction, I want you to think keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flips. Somebody said that it was close to KFC, but it's KCF, not Kentucky Fried Chicken. We're going to keep, change, and flip our problem. What does that mean? Let's take a look at this. This is subtraction I see. Okay, so you're going to keep, change, and flip. Okay, let me write this in. Keep, change, flip. What does that mean? That means I'm going to just keep this negative 3, and I'm going to change this subtraction to a addition problem, and then I'm going to flip this number. Right now, this is a positive 4. I'm going to flip it to a negative 4. So now what we have here is an addition problem, and we just went over our addition rules. If we have two of the same sign, right, we have a negative plus a negative, our answer is also going to be negative, and we're just going to add like normal. 3 plus 4 is 7. So negative 3 plus negative 4 is negative 7. Okay, so keep, change, flip. So basically, you're always going to be solving addition problems. If we see a subtraction problem, we're going to change it to addition. Okay, so I see that this is a subtraction problem. 2 minus 8. Some of you guys might already know if you had $8 and you spent $10. You lost $2 there. It's a -2, but let's do this keep, change, flip. We're going to keep this 8. We're going to change the subtraction to addition, and we are going to flip this +10 to be a -10. And now we just have a addition problem. For this addition problem, we have different signs. This is a positive and this is a negative. So what do we do when we have different signs? We find the difference. What is the difference between 8 and 10? 2. Now, is that 2 going to be positive or negative? Between 8 and 10, which one is bigger? Our 10 is larger, so we're going to take the 10 sign. It's going to be negative. Okay. Let's do one more. It is a subtraction problem, so we are going to keep, change, flip. I'm going to keep this 7 the same. I'm going to change this negative, this subtraction to a positive addition. And then we're going to flip this. So this time we're flipping a negative to a positive. Okay, so 7 plus 8 is 15. So 7 minus a -8 is 15. Sorry, excuse my dog. All right, so this brings me to my super trick here. We took it in our notes, right? I called it the super trick. If you minus a negative, if you are subtracting a negative, just like what we saw in our last problem, you're really adding. You're doing the opposite of a negative. You are adding. Okay, minus a negative is adding. So let me show you what the super trick looks like. Okay, so if you see two negatives side by side like this, minus a -3, okay, minus a negative, what I want you to do is we're going to draw a line and connect those two lines right here, and we're going to use this parentheses, draw a line down, and what do we see there? We see a plus sign. Okay, so we don't really need this parenthesis. We're just going to do 8 plus 3. What is 8 plus 3? 11. Okay, so that is my super trick. If you see minus a negative, make it a plus. You see minus a negative, okay, so use your pen, and we're just going to connect those two negative signs. Use our parentheses here. It already looks like a plus sign. Ignore this. 10 plus 5 is 15. Okay, so 10 minus a -5 is 15. Hope this helps.